Hi there. Mark Mergalo with a little bit of history on Wall Street that you may or may not know. We're going to cover how Wall Street got its name. So this story goes all the way back to the 1600s. In fact, we're going to go back to 1620. In 1620, the Pilgrims came over and they founded Plymouth Rock. Well, in 1624, the Dutch West India Company came over and they found a small little island that was inhabited by these indigenous people. And this tribe of Native Americans was known as the Lenape. And the Lenape, they had named their little patch of land Mahatta. And in their language, Mahatta means the place to gather wood to make bows. And so the Dutch decided, hey, this will be a fine little place for us to set up our colony. And they pushed the Lenape back and they established their colony there on Manhattan Island. It was the southern tip. And they named this colony New Amsterdam. Well, for a long time, things were good. And their business, the thriving business of New Amsterdam, was the fur trade business. Around the 1650s, the English started to surround New Amsterdam. There were English colonies to the south, English colonies to the north, and tensions between the English and the Dutch started to get pretty high. In 1653, the residents of New Amsterdam, afraid of being invaded by the English, felt it would be prudent to build a wall. And so they built a great wall on the northern part of their colony, and it went from one side of the island all the way across the other side. And this wall was about, they're saying, anywhere between 12 and 15 feet in height. It was a giant rampart, classic rampart that you had seen at any of those old-time forts with the wooden spokes and spears on the top. And the men would patrol this rampart and they would walk all along the front of the wall, guarding it and protecting it. And for over a decade of the Dutch walking up and down this wall, they had trotted a path into the ground. And this path into the ground was what they called was Wall Street. Well, in 1664, the British mounted a campaign to take over and invade New Amsterdam, and the English were successful in this military campaign. And the man who was responsible, the man who led the charge for this military campaign was the Duke of York. So in honor of him, to give him the praise and accolades that he had deserved for taking over New Amsterdam, they had renamed the colony, and they renamed it New York. Well, in 1669, the English were no longer afraid of themselves, so they opted to have this wall torn down. But the path that was still there, they continued to use, and they continued to call it Wall Street. Well, just a little bit more information. In 1835, there was a great fire that took out a whole bunch of the old buildings, but that financial district, if you go to the New York Stock Exchange, right around the corner in the ground, you will see a placard. And that placard discusses the Great Wall that used to separate the New Amsterdam colony from the rest of the island of Manhattan. I hope you enjoyed this little piece of American history, this little piece of Wall Street history. And until we meet again, invest wisely.